how can buyers better prepare for the home buying process? How can they be ready, right? I think a lot of buyers have it backwards. They want to go find a house and then talk to a realtor. And I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. You need to talk to somebody, know how much you can afford. That's great if your credit is awesome and you got all this cash, but there's more intricacies to this process than that, right? So you could have money, you could have credit, and you still may not be able to get approved. Hey, Trent. How are you?
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for joining me today. First, tell everyone who you are.
Trent Turner, branch manager, cross country mortgage, NMLS 207-8583, here to serve you throughout the southeastern United States.
Awesome. How's the market?
Woo! We've been on quite a whirlwind with economic data over the last 2 weeks. Interest rates have gone up over the last 2 weeks, and in general, rates continue to go up as the Fed continues to fight inflation, and the jobs report numbers are pretty strong. So, no final or significant reduction in sight for now, but just stay tuned.
So we've done a couple of deals, dealt with, quite a few situations, but we're in the business of solving problems, right?
We do.
So how can buyers better prepare for the home buying process? How can they be ready, right?
Yeah, I think the first step is assembling your team and being pre-approved. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, when folks want to purchase homes, the first thing they do is they want to reach out to a realtor, someone like you, Kim, someone expert in your field. You help them find homes, but which they should do. Totally okay. But really the first step is to understand, what can you afford? And is this the right time for you to purchase a home? And we call that getting pre-approved. So the pre-approval process is a very simple process. If you're dealing with a reputable lender or financial institution, you'll reach out to a bank or loan officer, maybe it's a referral from your realtor, and you'll submit a mortgage loan application. It's really quick. Most of them, it can be completed by through your phone in 5 to 10 minutes. And essentially, you're going to need to submit that application, the last 2 years of W-2s if you're employed, the last 2 pay stubs, and copy of your government issued ID that can come a little bit later, and 2 months of bank statements to ensure that you have the appropriate funds to bring towards a closing. So really there are 4 things that you need. And from there, your loan officer will tell you what you are approved for, what you can afford. That doesn't mean that you have to max that out, right? But then that way you know what your buying power is, and you can communicate that to your realtor. And from there, Kim, you can talk about what the next step is.
Yeah, I think a lot of buyers have it backwards. They want to go find a house and then talk to a realtor. And I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. You need to talk to somebody, know how much you can afford. That's great if your credit is awesome and you got all this cash, but there's more intricacies to this process than that, right? So you could have money, you could have credit, and you still may not be able to get approved, just depending on what your situation is. So what do you,
I can tell you what we look at.
Yeah.
So we're looking at employment history, your credit, your funds to close. Those are the main things that we're looking at. And what affects your affordability will be, in general, your interest rate, which is largely driven by credit, where you're purchasing a home, not just the amount, because the real estate taxes can differ from city to city, county to county. So those are important things that your lender is they're going to ask you. So where are you looking at buying? Like what county, what city? It doesn't have to remain that, but then they'll kind of put a plug in your underwriting to say, this is the monthly taxes for a home in this price range. So that'll help you out a lot. But basically, we're looking at your employment history, your credit, and the assets that you have to determine if we issue you a loan, the likelihood of it being repaid.
Okay, I got two questions based off of what you just said.
Okay.
So the first question is, talk about salary versus bonuses or commissions if you have a salary, right?
Yeah.
And then talk about gift funds again, on what the person that is gifting you the funds has to be prepared to do.
Yeah.
Because we ran into that.
Yeah, high level, we'll talk about salary versus hourly employment. In general, a lender is looking for 2 years of work history. However, there are some workarounds to that. If you are salaried and your employment is not on a contract basis, meaning that it's for a set number of time and then your employment ends, typically we can go off of your salary income. If you are hourly, we're going to be looking at the last 2 years, and we're going to be essentially underwriting what you've made year to date, averaging that with your last year's W-2. And what else is important? Have you changed industries? Are you now in a totally different employment industry than you were before? You went from working retail to now you're in the education system. Those are things that we look at. So that's the employment, the salary versus hourly. It is not that one is better than the other. There are some advantages to both. So income in terms of bonus, commissions, we typically need to see 2 years of you earning that. So you can't come to a lender. Typically a lender won't accept, hey, I got my first bonus ever last month. It was $5,000, but there's no history or trend of you achieving those bonuses. It doesn't have to be the same amount, but what a lender wants to do is average that out so they can have a predictable income of what you've done in the past versus, you paying the loan back, essentially. So it's really important. Bonuses, commissions, we can certainly include them. It's just a couple of extra steps we have to go about that. And if you are talking to a lender, make sure you are communicating. If you do, in fact, get bonus income, commissions, some type of overtime, because it may not be reflected in your last 2 pay stubs. So you definitely want, a good lender will ask you, hey, do you have any, additional income coming in? Also, one thing that note, if you're receiving any type of court-ordered child support, SSI, some type of fixed payment, that we can look at the history and show that you're getting this and that it's going to be coming in the future, that also can be applied towards your income. Awesome. And gift funds, essentially, the way the regulation is written, you are able to get gift funds. Typically, it has to come from a relative, and we have to source where those funds come from. It can't be a loan, so someone can't loan you money and you pay them back after closing. It has to be a true gift. And what's required is the individual giving you the gift is going to fill out a 1-page form, which it really breaks down your relationship with them, what they're giving you, that it's not a loan, that you don't owe them anything back. And essentially, we then have to source that money that they're giving to you to ensure that they have enough money to gift you. And we typically will have to review their financial statements, their bank statements, to ensure that it's not a loan. It's pretty simple. but it's something you should know before counting on that gift funds, those gift funds, to ensure that you can provide all the documentation necessary so we can count that.
Awesome. Okay. All right. That kind of answers my question, because I know sometimes, the buyers might say, oh, well, I think my mom will do it, but she don't want us to know how much money she got. The gifter does not have to share that information with the buyer. They can share it directly with the lender. So that would alleviate anybody trying to, get in anybody's business per se.
They can communicate directly with us. We have secure portals that they can upload the documents directly to us. They don't have to send it via email. We talk directly. We run into that a lot, because it can easily become, well, why didn't you give me more? Or I didn't know you had this. And we want it to be easy for everybody involved. And, we don't want to create more issues.
Yeah. And I think like right now it's so busy, even though, you might think it's not, that, sometimes these kind of final numbers and things come in at the last minute, and people may or may not have enough money. So they have to, hurry up and make something happen, but it is doable. So I think even from some of the last transactions we've done, I think faith has been very important in the process.
And you want to work with a team that is working for your interests and ensuring that you actually close. Like if you set out, you put in all this work and this effort, you want to work with people who are identifying paths that we can get to the closing table. But it brings up a good point about the gift funds. It doesn't hurt to reach out to a lender to understand if you can afford a home. You don't have to have a ton of money, a ton of savings. In a conventional loan, you're talking 3% of the purchase price. FHA 3.5%. So what does that mean? On a $300,000 loan, that's $9,000. With a conventional loan, FHA, that's $10,500. And there are down payment assistance programs out there that you may only have to bring $1,000 to the closing table to purchase your first home. So always reach out. My client base, and Kim, I know yours is the same. We work with folks that are hourly working, entry-level jobs that are purchasing homes out here, to folks that are making millions of dollars a year purchasing homes. Sometimes it's easier to get the folks qualified who are working those entry-level jobs than to get the folks who are bringing in tons and tons of money. So do yourself a service and see what you can afford, because oftentimes folks are surprised. And I would say, folks have been discouraged with all the news out there that the market, this, and interest rates. The interest rate on rent is 100%. Just think about it. So it doesn't hurt to figure out, Kim and I are empowered, and we want to help you achieve your ownership dreams. And that's why we're in the business.
Yep. And I just had 2 clients that are renters. One is paying $3,500 a month, and the other one is paying $2,650 a month. And rent is not going down. And like they literally changed the price on one of them after we had applied for it. They said, "Hey, we got so much activity. We raising the rent from $2,500 to $2,600. Do you still want it?"
100%.
So the rates are not going down rental wise. I think they're slowing down, right? Because there was some really significant rent increases. I think they're slowing down, but they're still going up. So
and real estate traditionally has been a hedge against inflation. So it's a hard asset. You can, in real time, when a lease is up or before a lease is up, you can adjust the rent to offset the cost of other goods and materials and services going up. Oh, my plumber is going to charge me this. I can increase the rent on the next lease term. So typically, if inflation is higher, rent goes up. So that's when you really want to try to get equity, in my opinion.
Yeah. So in other words, is now a good time to buy, Trent?
The best time to buy was last year. And guess what? Next year, we'll be talking about today, which is last year. So always, explore your opportunities with rates higher. there's a large percentage of buyers that are outside of the market right now when rates go down. We believe that's going to bring a lot more buyers into the market. And inventory, it takes a while for inventory levels to rise. So if you have more buyers and inventory isn't keeping up with that, then typically price will increase with supply and demand, and you'll be saying, I wish I would have bought in 2023. So it's totally up to you, but today is as good of a day as any to purchase a home.
Awesome. Trent, how can people find you?
They can find me at Banking on Real Estate on Instagram. My phone number is still a Mississippi area code where I'm from, 601-291-3135. Would love to talk to you. Even if you want to tell me where you're from, what type of properties you like, no pressure. At least get the conversation going. At least get you to becoming an owner.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Kim.
2023, I'll be talking to lenders, some of my vendor partners, just to give you a better idea of how the process works. So buying a home, selling a home. I think education is very important at this time to keep buyers and sellers informed about what's happening in the market. So look out for those videos. Thanks.